Hello, everyone, and welcome to Branded, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand to give you the clarity and confidence to challenge the status quo and show the fuck up in your own life. I'm your host, Sarah Glenn, and I am so excited to bring you Georgina Quinn. She is the founder of Decoding Weight Loss, also the Dopamine Regulator method. We're going to dive into all of this, and I'm really, really pumped about it. She has such a unique perspective on weight loss, and it could be the life-changing thing that you need to hear today. But essentially, the dopamine regulator method is designed to teach you how to naturally and sustainably lose weight by regulating your dopamine and all the other hormones that affect it. So, yay, Georgina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Okay, so I first met Georgina at a retreat a little while back, a couple months at this point. And when I heard her speak about decoding weight loss and her journey and just kind of what she's been through and her perspective on weight loss, I was like, I need to talk to her. And so we found each other in the room afterwards and started to stroke up a conversation. And here we are now. So I'm super excited to have you just bring this concept and this perspective to everyone because, I mean, let's be real, weight loss is it's forever and always going to be the thing that like is the bane of someone's existence or the thing that can change their life forever, right?
100%. And for us women, it's really hard because we keep getting all these advertising companies sending us a product or a new diet, and we just get so confused and overwhelmed. And, that was me, 15 years ago. So I'm so excited to just share my story because if I could change one person's view or one person's life that is struggling with this, and the struggle is real because it will hold you back from doing other things in your life, like it did for me. If you could unleash this for yourself, one person, I'm a happy girl.
Yeah, 100%. And I can attest to what you had shared at the event about, weight loss really being the thing that was like almost keeping your life hostage in a sense. Like I felt like that for a long while I was at my heaviest. And so let's dive into, I love the name of your business, Decoding Weight Loss. Like it's to the point, you know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it really is so you, like it's decoding, it's simplifying it, it's making it like, no, this is really how you do it. It's not the quick fix,
Right.
the Band-Aid method.
Right.
So what is decoding weight loss and how did you come to like finally figure out a method that, actually works and sticks?
Yeah. Yeah. So Decoding Weight Loss is basically a company that I founded based on my own struggles. And it actually goes after weight loss in a multi-dimensional way. We're multi-dimensional beings. So a one-dimensional approach does not work for us, right? So in some of my certifications as a life coach, I started understanding the brain and dopamine and what certain foods do to your brain. And weight loss and weight gain is not your fault, right? Like gaining weight is not really your fault. What happens is in the brain is when we consume certain foods, our dopamine level is like a double dopamine hit to the brain, kind of like a drug. And your brain then starts asking for these foods. And then we have an emotional response to our body when our brain and our body starts, just like having that pathway of going like, oh my God, I just had this and I felt like this. So then you're now creating a feeling that happens in the brain. It's just like anything else and in the body, right? And then what happens is then you have all these emotions come up and then you trigger other hormones to be unbalanced. So then it becomes like this constant loop of your brain asking for something, you wanting more of it as a drug, and then you having an emotional response and your hormones being out of whack. The more you do that, the more you dig yourself into a hole and you can't get out of this hole and you don't even know why or how you even got there. Yeah. So this was when I learned this information, I was 55 pounds overweight. I had a brain tumor. I have autoimmune disease that the doctors didn't know how. My body was so inflamed that they didn't even know how to help me. And I basically had to learn this on my own. Part of it was in my one of my certifications, and the rest was me doing my own research and literally putting myself as my first client, right? I didn't even know I was going to do this for a living, right? But I was like, I need this information. I'm going to put it on myself because I need to get healthier and lose the weight. And sure enough, I took it one step at a time. I didn't even tell my husband because I was so ashamed to tell one more soul that I was in any kind of program or any kind of like research on weight loss at all. Like I just kept it to myself. And for the first time in my life, not only did I start losing the weight, but it actually like I sustained it. It never came back, not even 5 pounds. And I was like, this is something. So then my husband's like, wait, what are you doing? Because he's very competitive. And I'm like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I learned and this is what I'm implementing. And it makes so much sense. It's so simple. It makes so much sense. And he's like, I want in on that. Let's do it. So I lost 55 pounds. He lost 50 pounds.
Wow.
This starts compounding it's in itself. So then we both stopped over drinking as well because the same dopamine hit. Like we're like, oh, it works with drinking too. Okay. How do we not drink that much? Or how do we, go after our dreams? So then I started finding that way of like going after the things that I really want, which are usually not the instant gratification that we're usually sold. It's usually the long-term gratification. So then I called it decoding weight loss because I'm like, I just decoded my brain. I just decoded my body. I just decoded my emotions. Okay, let's go.
I love that so much. And I love that you and your husband did that together. And you're so right that there is this stigma to, oh my gosh, I'm going to try yet another program. And I think honestly, it's a very vicious cycle that just society has going on where we're sort of marketed to as the overweight culture that we are. And we're marketed to with all of these quick fix, take this one pill and all of a sudden the weight's just going to fall right off. And it's like, that is okay. Yeah, maybe it could work once, but is it going to work again and again and again? And also, is that healthy for your insides? Like, whenever people say that they eat the ketogenic diet for like ever and always, it's like that's like not meant to be long term. And that's one of the reasons that I've actually gained back a little bit of my weight from when I dropped 45 pounds was because I was strictly eating ketogenic diet when I was doing that. And I was very intentional with my supplementation and my water intake and all of those things, which, it's ebbed and flowed on my progress with some of that stuff, but I stopped eating just keto and I started reintroducing carbohydrates into my, daily eating habits and all of that. And I started gaining back some weight, but I was also working out and I was gaining some muscle. And what I recognized when I only ate the keto diet and I wasn't exercising, I became like skinny fat. Like I just lost all my muscle mass. And I was like, well, I'm thin, but like I feel unhealthy. And that's just like, it's this thing with weight loss in the United States in particular, it's so highly marketed, but nobody is really talking about how to do it in a sustainable way that people can do for the rest of their life. It's like, oh, I just want to fix you today. Like, I don't care what you're like in a couple months. And so, yeah, I mean,
totally. I was so sick and tired of being on a diet or one more extreme exercise regimen or anything else. I'm like, there has to be a sustainable way to this. There are people that are thin that I look in the world and I'm like, what are they doing? Because they don't gain an ounce and they have a lifestyle around food that is not one of deprivation, but it's also not a continual like diet, and I thought to myself, what is the point of being on a diet? A diet has a beginning and an end. Whether it tells us or we in our heads, we know that there's going to be an end to a cabbage soup diet because ain't nobody holding on to that for the rest of their life. So, which I did, by the way. So if they're going to have a beginning or an end, guess what's going to happen when it stops? Your brain's going to go back to its,
yeah, it's old patterns.
It's old pattern. And it's going to be like, okay, let's see how we always ate. And then
Yeah.
it also introduces a lot of the diets and modalities out there introduce the all or nothing mentality,
Yeah.
which does not work, because think about it. If you're putting all effort, then you're getting all the results. And if you're putting no effort, then you're getting no results. So like, you have to meet yourself in the middle. You have to find that balance. And that's
Yeah.
what I teach you to do with your brain. Some people don't even notice that they're doing it. So
Yeah.
there's just no point in just like doing a diet. I don't want to be thin for a holiday. I want to be
Yeah.
thin forever.
Yeah, and that's a really good point to make, because when our brains get to like, okay, we're coming to the end of like, some sort of diet stretch that we're doing, then we think to ourselves, what's going to be my cheat meal? What's going to be the thing that breaks the diet? And then it's like, oh my gosh, then you're just falling right back into all of your old patterns just long enough for you to get fed up again to start the diet again. Like, why are we continuously on this cycle? And I'm sure you can speak to the fact that this really isn't healthy for our bodies to go through this either, because it's got that spike of the dopamine and all the wrong kind of hormones being imbalanced. So can we actually, I have your workbook right here that you shared with us whenever I saw you last. So whenever she has a fantastic, like so many fantastic resources, by the way. So you guys are going to see the link in the show notes to connect with her on Instagram and get into all of her stuff. But there's some really fantastic resources. And I really enjoyed what you were talking about whenever I saw you at the retreat, of like really paying attention and journaling. What do I feel like after I eat certain foods? And I think that's just something that not enough people do. And once you have more awareness around it, like when I eat something in the middle of the day, I really honestly don't like to eat lunch, because usually I feel lethargic afterwards, unless I'm eating really high nutritious foods. But a quick snack sometimes just doesn't feel the slump. And so what are some like foods for you that you have found, which I know everybody's different, but what are some foods for you that you found like, okay, I thought this was good for me, but it actually made me feel tired or made me feel like whatever. I think some of that can be a little bit interesting,
Yeah.
I know I kind of sprung that question on you.
That's okay. One of the foods that are like everybody's having it right now, and it actually makes me feel just like I'm going down with energy, like maybe after an hour or two, is oat milk.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
everybody's so into it. And I'm like, wait, when I started, and then this is what I talk about in my programs, it's like, let's talk about this. Oat by itself has an insulin response. But when you take oat, add water, and make it into a liquid, it has a totally different spike, and then it drops you. So if you were to do something like that and you wanted an alternative milk, I find that any nut milk is better. If you could, some people can have nut milk, but I would go for oat milk instead. And everybody's like, oh my God, oat milk's the best. And I'm like, oh no, you're gaining weight and you're losing energy on that. So that's one of the ones that I found. So many foods that, I found were not,
Well, you know what? I'll rephrase the question, because I really like that concept of what you were speaking about, how concentrated foods, like how they change. So like powders, liquids versus whole foods. I don't think a lot of people recognize what that really looks like. So Georgina and I had a conversation about, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago prior to this recording, and we were talking about my diet and what I've been doing. And I was telling her how, in the mornings I drink my like greens blend and take my vitamins and I do some things. But something that you pointed out to me that I hadn't really thought about was, even though I'm taking my greens blend and like that's quote unquote, that's a healthy thing, right? Why would I not take that in the morning? Why would I feel like not taking it in the morning? And you're like, yeah, but it's opening up that insulin window. And that, can you talk about that a little bit? That was super interesting to me.
And now that you just reminded me of that, that was another thing I used to do. I used to do shakes all the time. And I used to do doctor prescribed shakes that they're like, you're going to lose weight. And I'm like, nothing's happening. I don't know what's wrong with your shake, but it's not happening. So, so I found out the hard way. So anything that is in the wild, around us, that's whole in its whole form, is meant to be digested, by the body in a better way for our hormones. So if you look at an apple and you eat the apple, your saliva is helping you digest the apple before it even lands in your stomach. And it's helping you to deal with the sugar, because the apple in its pure form has the fiber to counteract the natural sugars that the apple has. So like nature has done it perfectly. And here we are blending it or smashing it together and just getting a juice.
We're just like fucking everything up. Yeah.
Right. And we could speak French here.
Oh, say whatever you want.
I love it. So anyways, so then here we go, trying to get apple juice out of the apple, right? So there goes the fiber. We're just creating liquid that has sugar, right? It might have some vitamins and minerals. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't, but the fiber really counteracted with the sugar. And then as soon as you have it, your saliva gets it in. It can't process it because you're not chewing on it. It goes straight into your bloodstream, spiking up your insulin and other hormones. And there you go. You started off the day thinking you're so healthy. And then the powders are the same thing. Liquids do the same thing, right? So we want to make sure that if we do have it, we have it in a certain form. I teach people how to do that. There's a way to have it if you must have it. But as a rule of thumb, I try to stay away from liquids unless it's wine or something that I really want, right? I'm not going to spike for an apple juice. I'll spike for wine. Like,
oh yeah,
that should be a t-shirt.
Yes, I won't spike for apple juice, but I'll spike for wine. I love it. I mean, hey, I'm right there with you. And that, honestly, that was a really, really good eye-opening thing that you said to me whenever we had our call, because it was like, yeah, I know that I'm drinking this greens blend and it's, packed with all of the vitamins and minerals I'm going to need, but it also has probably stevia in it to, make it go down a little bit easier. And so, yeah, having that insulin spike in the morning and then not eating any whole foods, like it's not doing my body any favors right then. And so I have been following what you had suggested to me. And you guys are going to want to hop on a free consultation call with her, because this is the good stuff that you're going to get whenever you talk to her, because it's like completely customized to what you're doing in your life. Like that was our conversation. She's like, walk me through your day. Let's talk about it. And even for those of you that think you're eating incredibly healthy, just like I thought, right? But I'm like, but why am I hanging on to like this 10, 15 pounds? Like it's just there and it's not really gone anywhere. And so she was able to really talk me through some stuff, and I've been implementing some of it, not as regularly as I should. I'll be 100% honest. It's, what it is. But I've definitely been doing more like apple cider vinegar right first thing in the morning. And I enjoy that. I know that's hard to take down for some people, but yeah, the insulin window thing, can you reference that actually, what you were talking about with like throughout the day and the eating and all of that?
Yeah. So try another way to not gain the weight and lose weight is to try to open a window and close it, open a window and close it. Do not just like keep eating throughout the day, greasing. That's really bad for your insulin. And to us that are a little bit older, that grew up in the 80s and 90s, that was a big thing. It's like eat every 2 to 3 hours. Like, no, don't eat every 2 to 3 hours. That's not a good idea, right? Yeah. So you want to consume your food in eating windows. And what you were saying before, like for this to work out for you or for anybody else, and that's why I take this like on a very personal level with what works for you, is it has to work with your lifestyle. I have people that work at night and I have to create and help them create a protocol, a food protocol that works for them, that, that they lose weight, when their lifestyle is totally different than mine or yours. So it has to make sense for you. If not, it just won't happen.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's also one of the biggest issues with just the weight loss industry as a whole, is it's trying to take this person and fit it into this box. And we are wildly different when it comes to what we drink, eat, sleep, all of it. is
Yeah.
100% different from person to person, even people living in the same house, right? Like my husband and I don't have the exact same eating, sleeping, drinking water schedule. And we live together. So it's like, yeah, it has to be customized. And I think it's so interesting how you have dove into the scientific aspect of it, but done it in a way that isn't like, it's not going way over anybody's head. You're like you said, you're decoding it. You're bringing it down to earth and saying like, okay, these are the actual protocols that I've tried. I know they work. My clients have tried. So can you point me to like what was maybe a decision that you made for yourself that has created some of the biggest impact? Like whether this is for your business or in your journey of weight loss, like can you kind of pinpoint a decision that you were like, okay, that's the one that changed everything for me?
Yeah, losing 55 pounds gave me the fireworks that I never thought existed in my brain to go after the life that I have right now. And then some. And it continues, obviously. You just don't land somewhere. It just, you keep evolving. But I thought it was so impossible for me to lose the 55 pounds. It was holding me hostage, just like you said. And when I actually went after this and I really understood the science, I made it very simple for myself. And I just put one foot in front of the other. I didn't go to the all or nothing. I just said, I'm just going to take one day at a time, 1 week at a time. I'm just going to do this no matter what. I kept doing the work. I kept getting up, no matter if I failed or not. And not only did it change my body, my life, my brain, again, when the brain gets a negative dopamine hit, it wants more of that. But then when you reverse the dopamine effect and you want the healthy release of dopamine that goes with going after your dreams and what you want most in life, your brain literally changes. Your neural pathways change. So you're literally a different person. When I was left with that, I was able to go after my new business, which is thriving right now. Thank God, I'm going to knock on wood. I didn't even mean to be a weight loss coach. I was a life coach, and I started losing so much weight and held it off for so long that people were like, what are you doing? I need to work with you because I've never seen you lose weight and keep it off. So I was the eternal dieter. So it literally changed my business. It like literally I had to burn down the old business and start a new one. It changed my marriage. My husband got healthier because he lost 50 pounds. We both stopped over drinking. We stopped over dramatizing. We stopped the overages that were holding us back. And now I have that space to be like, wait, I'm not getting my dopamine hit from all these foods and the alcohol and the drama and anything else. I have this space now to create the life that I want. That's what I'm going to go for. So that literally changed everything for me.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And that's what's so powerful about like making that one choice. It literally just opened up. And when I heard you say something similar to that at the retreat that we met at, I like instantly in my brain, it clicked where I was like, holy shit, that's it. That's the thing. When you are so fixated on losing weight and you're just in this constant loop of like overeating, guilt, overeating, guilt, overeating, like it never ever stops. And you literally are held hostage to it. You can't think about anything else. Like literally every day from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed, you're thinking about your weight and how it is, hindering you from living your best life. And it's just like, wow, what a life-changing thing that can be. And that could be 10 pounds for somebody. That could be 50
100%.
pounds for somebody. It's like, it doesn't really matter. Because didn't you say you had a client who like she couldn't run like with just her sports bra on because she hated her body so much and she had like an eating disorder or something. And so it can go in any direction. It doesn't have to be overweight. It's just
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
100%. Like we women wake up when we're overweight or we don't like our bodies. We wake up and like, think about it. We wake up and go, I don't know what to eat. I'm so confused. I keep gaining weight no matter what. What's wrong with me? Like you wake up like that, right? Then you look in the mirror and you're like, who is that? I don't recognize that girl. Then you have to go into your closet and you're like, I hate everything I'm wearing because I hate how everything's landing on me. So you're already starting off at a negative, right? And then here comes the, all the advertising and, being on camera, being on social media, and you just get that constant reminder that you're not where you want to be, but you have no idea how to get out. It was a big deal for me. Like, it consumed my entire life.
Yeah. No, it will. And I recall like being the same way. And I didn't realize that when it was happening, and I think a lot of people probably don't. And I'm sure plenty of people that listen to this will hopefully get some light bulb moments and be like, okay, so it doesn't have to be this way. Because I tell you right now, like me and Georgina, we get it. We get it. Like, you don't recognize it when you're in it. When I was 45 pounds overweight, I knew I was miserable. I knew I hated my body. I knew I hated all of my clothes. Like, I knew all of those things, but I didn't really recognize that I could simply like make the change until I was ready for it. Like, I had to have a one-on-one conversation with myself where I literally said out loud, I'm like, Sarah, get your shit together. Like, enough already. This is ridiculous. Your 30s can be your absolute best decade if you just do something different. Like, stop it. Because I found myself where I was just looking in the mirror going like, who the fuck is this person? I don't recognize her. I don't know her. And really it's the thing, like with all of these neural pathways and all of the hormones being so out of whack and your dopamine spiking constantly, it really does create like an entirely other identity.
It does.
It's so wild.
So wild.
And it's like getting back to you. And I don't know about for you, but this is for me what I experienced a little bit whenever I finally dropped the weight and I could like look at myself in the mirror. It wasn't that I was like, yeah, go Sarah, you're amazing. You did that thing. It was more like, welcome back. Like, I remember you. You're here. I knew you were here, but somewhere you got lost, right? Behind this other person.
I love that, Sarah. That's exactly how my clients and I felt too. Like, whenever you go through this process, it's like you found yourself back. You find yourself again, and it's like a 2.0 version of yourself.
And see, I think psychologically for me, that actually helped me maintain what I was doing, because it wasn't like I had to find an entirely new version of me that I am. No, I simply just allowed who was already there to finally come through and be seen and like be a part of life now instead of shelving her, And so to know that no matter where you're at in your weight loss journey and what you're feeling like, I mean, the person you want to be is already there. She's like, I'm just sitting here waiting. I'm ready.
Yeah. Whenever
when are you going to work with Georgina so we can like come out to play?
We think like, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. That was so funny.
Oh, no, sorry, I was rambling.
No, I love it. Go girl. I love it. Oh, I forgot. Anyways, let's go on to the next.
Well, let me ask you this, because I just love the work that you do. I mean, it's obviously incredibly life-changing. What's like kind of next for you? Not as in you're dropping something and starting something entirely new, but we know that entrepreneurship is like an ever evolving and growing, changing thing. So what's like coming up that's exciting for you that people can plug into and, keep their eyes open for?
Yeah. So I just launched maybe a couple of months ago, a group coaching program. And it is so fascinating how not only you get to learn all the tools and implement, but you get to be around women that are going through the same thing you are. So you feel like you're not alone, that sense of community. We women are very hardwired for community from the cave years. So I see a lot of relationships flourishing from there and them feeling like they're not alone in the world. So I have a new January group coaching program coming up. And this is the last time I'll have it at the lower price that I have it. It's going to go up from here. And I would love to have anybody that's interested give me a call or go into my link in bio so we could have a session together to see if we're the right fit. And if so, I would love to invite them to join the program because it's really so life transforming. It's amazing. Like, you'll come out the other end, that version of yourself that you thought you lost, and she's going to be right back. She's going to be like, oh my God, here I am.
Yeah, she's like, thank you. You let me out. This was great. And to have something that you can plug into that is naturally occurring, like being able to teach your body and, rewire your brain for the natural and the sustainable. Because if you're not reaching for sustainability in every aspect of your life, and I'm not saying sustainability as in like save the earth. I mean, that's important, but that's not the way I'm using the word.
Right,
Just want to clarify that.
Long term.
Right. So sustainability meaning you can do it over and 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 never get worn out. And it continues to be exciting for you and you continue to love it. That's what I mean by sustainability. And that I think is what is so transformative about what you do, because it isn't that like, oh, I'm just going to do it because, I got to go to a wedding and fit into a dress. It's like, no, I'm forever and always going to be the healthy version of me that has balanced hormones that are functioning the way they're supposed to. And if I overeat on a holiday, my body knows that the food is just passing right through me and I don't have to hang on to it. I think that's a lot of the, and maybe you could speak on this real quick, but hanging on to weight sometimes, I've heard this before where it's like, it is very psychological the way we consume foods, like with the intention that we consume, can sort of dictate how we hang on to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've seen people do that. And it's kind of like the brain's kind of keeping you safe. It thinks it's keeping you safe by doing that. And that's why I also deal with the emotional part, right? Because again, it's multidimensional. We're emotional beings. Food is very primal. Therefore, our brain sees it. The link between the primal brain with the food and the emotions get together, and then it's hard to decode that, right? So I deal with, I help people deal and process their emotions in the correct way so they don't go after the food to stop for their emotions, right? So then you start releasing what you're talking about. You start understanding that the food is not going to make you healthier. It's not going to save your life because the brain will tell you that. It's you understand that if you keep eating that food, you're holding it inside, and in that those emotions that are tied to it, you're also not releasing. So it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's so interesting. The human body is wild. Like it really is the most intelligent machine out there. Like it's just so cool what the body can do. And I have personally practiced being more intentional about the foods. Like if I'm going to eat something that I know is not full of nutrients, it's not a whole food, it's like definitely cheat meal kind of stuff. I will tell myself like, it's okay that I'm having this right now. I don't have it every single day. I'm going to allow myself to enjoy it. It's like having the glass of wine. You're like, I know it's not good for me,
right?
But I'm choosing this and I'm choosing it very intentionally to enjoy it right now in this moment. And it allows you to not have that sort of FOMO later on because you actually enjoyed it. And I think that's where so many people get into this loop of eating like fast foods or drinking too much or all the things because they didn't actually enjoy it the first time they had it. And so they're like, okay, I need to have it again so I can enjoy it. And then they still don't enjoy it. So then they have it again.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
What is happening?
Yeah. And how dopamine works is, like I said, just like a drug. So the first time you have it, it's the first couple of bites are going to be the first release. But then you're going more. I don't know if you notice that. You're like, I can't even taste the pizza anymore, but I'm just eating it. And then it's just that loop that happens because the brain.
I do that with gelato.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for sure. If my husband buys me a pint of the Talanto gelato, it's gone. And he goes, you don't have to eat the whole thing. I'm like, then don't buy it because that is one of the foods that I struggle with. When it's open, I don't intentionally eat it. I eat it out of the dopamine hit, like for sure. And I recognize that. So I'm like, don't buy it.
Right. And also most of us don't have a way of really have the awareness of our thoughts that we're going through. So we're eating because of the dopamine, we're eating faster than the thoughts are coming in or that we have the awareness of the thoughts. But if you literally stop for like 5 seconds, which is hard with gelato or anything else.
Yeah.
Start for 5 seconds, you're going to start getting those thoughts. And as soon as you have the awareness of the crazy ass thoughts that our brain gives us to keep us going, then you could just be like, I'm just going to have some agency for myself here and get over my primal brain and make the right decision for myself. And that's when everything starts clicking at the brain level.
Yeah. Yeah. Awareness is everything. I say that all the time. It doesn't matter what kind of conversation I'm having. It always comes into the conversation whenever I'm speaking with all of these other entrepreneurs. It almost always comes back to awareness. Like if you don't have intention with your actions and awareness of what those actions are creating, you're lost. I mean, and it literally comes down to everything: weight loss, relationships, your business. Like intentional action plus awareness will equal success. Like you're going to fail along the way for certain, but those failures turn into just, a little veer off the path. And it's not like a wildly crazy thing that stops you in your tracks. So interesting. I could talk about this forever with you.
Me too.
But you're like, me too. This is my passion. So as we sort of wrap up our episode right now, and, we're diving into 2024. And I knew whenever I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago, I was like, we have got to have our episode at the first of the year. First off, I mean, hello, New Year's resolutions, everybody and their mama's doing them, whether they stick to them. Now there's something for you. But being able to have somebody like you for the audience to plug into, and maybe they get started with your coaching program. Maybe they just now have the awareness and they start checking out your socials and all the things, right? It just starts with possibility and awareness, like we just said. So I just love that I'm able to bring this to everyone, and that you were willing to be featured on the podcast. And so I'm just very, very grateful. So as we wrap up today's episode, is there a piece of advice that has been sort of the most transformative for you as you've kind of been on this journey, and whether that's in your weight loss or in your building your business?
Yeah, I think the piece of advice is like whatever you're being called to do, or whatever your higher self wants you to align to, it might seem scary, and it might seem like you failed so many times before in the past, like I did. And your brain's going to tell you, don't try one more time because you're going to fail again. If you're doing something different, that you're not trying to do the diet, but you're doing something different that really speaks to you and aligns with you, try it out. Because that one tiny little step, that one decision can change everything in your life, everything, like it did with me. So you get so empowered by that I just don't want anybody missing out of whatever it is. It might not be weight loss. It might be anything else that they've been trying to do that they're so scared of. Try it. Yeah. There's more failure not trying than trying and failing, right? Because what is failure? So if I didn't try and I didn't take that step forward, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I would be, God knows how heavy by now, and I wouldn't have helped as many people that really needed me. So, yeah.
And that actually, while you were just speaking, I was thinking, and I can't believe I didn't realize this a moment ago when I mentioned, like, when I had that one-on-one talk with myself saying, come on, Sarah, get your shit together. That one decision has literally led to us having this conversation right here today. It has it has literally transformed my life to be able to say, okay, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do better for myself, for my health. I just want better for me. I don't want to hate myself anymore. And I went on to, do the work to lose the weight. And then my brain, like you said, I had all of this open space to stop fixating on my weight, that I was able to create a business. I was able to make new friendships. I was able to learn how to use social media. And now people pay me to do things on social media. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing 3 years ago on social media. So yeah, I mean, you're so right. Like one choice in the direction of where you want to go, wherever that is, it can literally transform your life. Like it's so wild. Oh man, I love it. Georgina, I'm so honored that you're here, and go check the show notes, you guys, because I'm going to have her link to her Instagram there, and then click her link in bio because you can book a free session. Like she said, if you guys are a good fit together, because that is really important since you are working so closely and it's so personal, that you really want to be a good fit for each other. And her group coaching program starts really soon, and it's going to be at the best rate ever before it goes up, because this is, I mean, it's time to finally choose you, right? So
yeah, it shouldn't be you, it should be choose you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Georgina, until next time, we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.